This is a very GBL recording. Uh, Episode 3, August 13th, 2025. At 12:12 a.m. So we left off with the Rapids winning, and then I simmed like half a season, and I recorded it, but I just fell asleep on it, and it was like 4 minutes of dead air. Like not 4 minutes, like 3 hours of dead air, like nothing. So I wasn't gonna keep that. So that's a move. Um, yeah, like. Whoa, what's this? What? Yeah, a lot happened during this whole this whole off season. But yeah, we're just trying to speed up into a bunch of seasons. I'm not trying to see anybody I know. But yeah, whoa. Whoa. I don't know about that one. Bobby Turner. That mustache is crazy. Randy Rodriguez. Oof. Jackson Holiday. Oh man.
When he appeared on the inaugural Nitro show after being one of the top superstars in the WWE for the past 2 or 3 years before this.
Vince McMahon made a crucial mistake. He took somebody's word. Lex Luger was working without a contract. Lex was saying that, oh yeah, Vince, I'm with you, but you know, the lawyers have to get together and work this clause out and that clause. Anything to hold up the signing of the actual document. Because that way he was free, and I'm sure he'd had feelers from the other side who'd heard he was working without a contract. And if the biggest mistakes that I've known Vince McMahon to make during the time that I've known him, all centered around taking people at their word.
Nitro garnered a 2.9 rating for their premiere episode, a strong showing even though they were unopposed by Raw. Nitro and Raw were to trade ratings victories for the rest of the year, as Bischoff continued to find new ways to get more viewers.
You said that the one in Wallsville has the dab?
People don't know what's going to happen on my show, but
I think so. Last time I went, I remember seeing it there.
you know, what better way to get the audience
I'm gonna be safe and
to
go to the
stop
other one.
channel surfing than to tell them everything they're going to see on the other show?
Cheap too. I'll go now.
Big Bubba.
The Uber's cheap right now. Oh yeah, hell yeah, it's cheap. Yeah, I'm gonna do those.
Nice.
It's a rush. Do I do the wait and save for 1067 or
You know, we need more.
1309?
What's the wait and save?
Yeah, you just wait a little bit more, but you're saving around like $3 or so.
I always
$2.
I always do the wait and save.
Right.
I'm just resourceful. Every dollar, every cent counts nowadays. Because if you think about it, you put the $3 into the tip, and that's a tip. Like,
Or it goes to the vape fund. Mimi, are you okay, bud? Oh. Yeah. Why you BBY? Pepsi. I want to know who. I want to know who was the guy who created the name. Think Pepsi.
The name Pepsi?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a weird name.
Yeah, it is a weird
Raw
name.
would trade
Like, I'm gonna
ratings
name my
victories
drink
for the rest of
Pepsi.
the year as Bischoff continued
Like,
to
what the
find
hell?
new
Like-
ways to get more viewers.
Let's see, we're live, they're taped.
We're live,
they're
People
taped.
don't know what's going to happen.
It was originally named
We
Brad's
can tell
Drink.
them what's going to happen
I
in the
would've,
competition.
yeah, I would've fucked with that.
What better way to get
Let me
the
get another
audience
Brad.
to stop channel surfing than to tell them everything they're going to see on the other show.
Brad's Drink. Poses like Big Bubba.
To see on the other show.
Here's how it goes down. DQ, Yoko's doing it in a handicap match. Take this big Roberts. He's talking about giving him some balls here. Over Isaac Jacob and Diesel over Bob Holly. He's still around. Okay, we got that out of the way. Now you are where the action is, and the action
It was
is
named Pepsi because it was
I called the network
advertised to
and said, I don't
relieve
want to go up at
this
8 o'clock.
this
I want to go up
Pepsi
at
for
7:57.
indigestion.
I want to give away the results
Pepsi.
of their show 3 minutes before they even
This
go on the
Pepsi
air.
or upset stomach.
He began to play a few tricks. He'd come on the air
So it
earlier,
helps you
he
with your
would do
upset
stay
stomach.
Later. He did all sorts of tricks that I
Pepis.
didn't particularly appreciate. I really had some
What
reservations
kind of
as to
cursed
how dirty
logo?
these tactics were going to get.
I don't want to see that ever
It was
again.
painful. It was like, wait a minute, that's a rotten thing to do. You don't have to do that one.
I think Eric had the philosophy of all is fair in love and war. I don't particularly think giving a competitor's results is ethical, but to hell with ethics.
Ethically, did I have a problem with doing that? Of course not. It's business. I didn't give a damn. I had no intention of ever going to WWE, so it didn't matter to me. And I love doing it. I love doing it because it just pissed so many people off. You know, the wrestling fans, they were outraged. Oh, Eric.
I
Bischoff,
rarely remember
what an
when
ass. How could
Pepsi
he
came up.
possibly do that?
Remember the
That's
one kind of looked like a
horrible.
flag.
Yeah.
And then I just remember I just grew up with the one the straight blue one with the circle logo.
Yeah.
We did it every week.
Yeah.
Well, I think Eric Bischoff took almost the Godfather, take on it. Hey, yeah, we'll kill your kid, but it's nothing personal. It was strictly business. Hey, to me, that's kind of personal.
Bro, we were
my career and put my family on the welfare
Pepsi
line.
at the
At
apartment
first,
for the.
yeah.
Were we?
Yeah, mostly Pepsi.
I don't remember us getting a lot of Coke
When
like that.
No, I switched to
Women's
Coke because the
champion
taste was starting to
Alundra Blaze
change my
defected
taste
to
buds.
WCW in December.
Well, when we go to the supermarket, we would straight get
Nitro
Pepsi
viewers
and
were
like
in
ginger. You know
for
your
another
ginger
of
ale.
Bischoff's surprises.
Yeah.
Your
When
orange
Medusa came
maybe.
over, she had the WWE Women's Championship, and she called me and said,
Funny.
I've got this belt. What should I do?
I'm like, wait,
Should
I
send it
must
back
be
to
like a
them? What should I
Coca-Cola
do? And I said,
family like that.
No, don't send it back to them. At
We'd go
least
to
not
the
yet.
deli. I'm like, we get
Bring
like
it to
a
TV
2-liter
with you.
Pepsi or like
So I was able to
we were like a
convince her
2-liter Pepsi.
against
Yeah.
her will. It was a
That's
great
crazy,
idea
the
to
2-liter
take that
Pepsi.
WWE Women's Championship and
Una
drop it
Pepsi.
on national
Yeah.
television.
We would get
I loved
scrounged
it.
up $2 for a two liter.
I'm sure she now
That's
wishes
crazy
she
how
wouldn't.
it cost less than $2 back in the
How far
day.
deep do you go with the dirt?
Now it's like
You know,
$3.65,
if
and
you
at the
box me
Circle
in
K it's like
whereby I'm
$6.
gonna have to do something really stupid,
Stuck
then
in
I'm
my
gonna do
ass.
something stupid.
Yeah, that's why I never buy
I
it.
didn't quite get that far,
I
but
buy it
was
at the
close.
Oh, we've got
the Dollar General.
greedy has-beens from the 80s. Who you calling a has-been, brother? Can't blame a guy for trying to con
A 20 ounce is is the same price as when we would buy a 2 liter back in the day.
The huckster, the Nacho Man, and the one that really insulted me personally.
You know what? It was kind of. I hated it in a way, but I loved doing the errands for
It
Ma.
was, a little bit of a low blow, but
Yeah.
I'm talking to the guy that was giving
I remember
away
one time
storylines
I
on my
fucked
show,
up.
so I lowered the bar to the point where I shouldn't really consider that
I
too
brought
much,
back
I mean, I found
cabbage
humor in
instead of
it.
lettuce.
I thought they were funny. Surprisingly enough, Ted thought they were funny.
Estúpido, esto es repollo. I'm like, what the fuck is a
Always
repollo?
felt a certain loyalty to the wrestling show. Because it was his
Is that a
first
lettuce?
big
And then
show.
you're just like, oh.
But I don't think he ever felt like he had to fully put his heart and soul behind
Go-
it. And
goes
I
back.
think when the Billionaire Ted skits aired, it
Cabbage.
kind of lit a fire under Ted Turner. So it may
It was a
have just
whole
not
cabbage
been
head.
the best idea
As 1996 unfolded,
That's what I knew. I was like, that's how I
WCW
knew
had
how to
Hogan,
make the difference.
Savage,
Because
Sting,
Matt
Luger,
flayed me
Ric
that one
Flair, and
time.
others. WWE was led by Diesel, The Undertaker, Shawn Michaels, Razor Ramon, and Bret Hart. WWE was staying ahead in the race, but was soon to lose two of its biggest superstars.
Both guys' contracts were coming up for expiration. And both guys had given Vince either verbal commitment or allowed him to believe that they were going to stick around. Vince gets a fax. Scott Hall.
I know if I went for those errands, I'd fuck it up.
Why couldn't he tell the guy in person? With Kevin Nash,
Like,
he had
oh
specifically gone to the
well,
I
assumed that she picked me because I was the oldest. She could have very well picked Jennifer, but I think she didn't want to. I think the word she might get kidnapped or she didn't trust her. I think Ma didn't trust Jennifer for the one. But Jennifer wasn't gonna act up or gonna do nothing. She knew better.
So when I found out that Scott,
so she said my ass.
To Scott, and you know, Scott came in and made a pretty big impact.
Now it's like what? Cherry Valley? What? Cherry Valley Supermarket?
Yeah.
His opponent, Steve Dahl. Well, you know, Steve Dahl was trying to get an offensive going. Wait a minute. But what the hell? What?
Oh, what the hell?
Right there. The Mauler runs him down. What are you talking about? Look here. Well, what the hell? Wait a minute. What's with this?
Wait, we need security. I have no idea.
Hey.
Wait a minute. I can't believe it. I can't believe I'm seeing it.
You people,
What's with him?
you know who I am. But you don't know why I'm here.
Are we going to get security here?
Where is Billionaire Ted? Where is the Nacho Man? That punk can't even get in the building. Me? I go wherever I want, whenever I want.
Listen,
They're already starting to work on that Interworld Express.
Yes. I hope to not get back until it's complete.
It should be ready around 2030.
Yes, that's when I'm returning.
You've been sitting out here for
6 months running your mouth. 6 months, goddamn.
This is where the big boys play, huh? Look at the adjective.
Play.
I just hate
We
that
need
it's
to
light
play.
rail.
Huh?
I just hate that it's light rail.
WCW now had Scott Hall and Kevin Nash. The question was, what were they going to do with them?
Yeah, I guess.
Queens gets that.
Hall and Nash posed as invaders from WWE, looking to take
That's what I'm
over.
saying, bro.
Viewers
We
were
get that special
confused
shit.
yet interested.
WCW had taken stars
Fuck
that
Brooklyn.
had been
I mean,
made
fuck Manhattan.
in
How's that fuck?
WWE, and they spotlighted those stars and brought them in as outsiders and gave the impression that they were coming from the WWE to WCW.
Brooklyn.
And people
I'll
that had
probably
been
end up
loyal
living in
to
Brooklyn, to be
the
honest.
WWE product
What
all of a
yeah,
sudden
like
turned on
along the
WCW and
bro?
saw
Yeah,
Because they're gonna
superstars that they'd
they're
only
gonna
seen
build
on
like they're gonna build
WWE
like
previously.
condominiums and like
for
houses
sure,
and
along
wow.
around there. I know
Now
John
they're on
says he
Nitro.
wants
Hey,
to live somewhere
it's like
around
Raw
it
guys
too.
now going to Nitro.
But
This is
along,
really cool,
um,
and it was a very cool concept.
Like close to Queens Boulevard.
Viewers of
Or like-
WCW
Like right, so I
uh,
think it's like right at the
Nash
beginning. That's
beach,
where the thing
tuned
starts.
in to learn the identity of the
Like
third
Mass
man that
Pit
would
would be
aid
not that
Hall and
bad either.
Nash. They weren't disappointed.
Coney Island would be kind of dope.
Double X and Logati.
He's down. He's got Nash down. Savage.
Oh no!
The way Macho Man sells, like he got shot.
And then there was one, and it was Sting, and he didn't look too good. Hulkamania!
Hulkamania!
Bug Bogan.
Hulkamania says you're big!
You damn right he is! Go get him!
Go get him, Hulkster!
Whose side is he on? Go, what are you
much is the
talking
camera?
about? Whose side is he on? What are you talking about? Yes, sir! Get him, Hogan!
The Pilots have won the National League Championship Series in the
No.
variant GBL.
I knew it.
Variant GBL.
Hulk Hogan arrived.
What is he doing? God, is he the third man? He's the third man. What the hell is going on here? Hulk Hogan has betrayed WCW. He is the third man. Look at this picture. Oh my God. What the hell is going on? Oh my God.
Bruh.
I love the way this guy Shivani says that. Oh my God.
Bro, it was $2. When we were born, it was $1.25 to ride the subway.
Yep.
I got hit in the nose.
2003 was $2.
Look at all of this crap in this ring. This is
And then, they're gonna raise it to $3 in 2026.
Yep.
What the fuck?
That's why, bro. Oh my God. That's why. Why do you think I'm saying I'm returning in 2030? Because I hopped the turnstile and they got my ticket on me and shit, and I haven't even showed up to that summons. So if I go back again and they see me hop again, yo, oh my God, I don't know what's gonna happen. I am not paying that whatever money. I am not. Yo, I'm not paying that shit.
It's going to shock people into watching your television program.
I'm not paying that
I think
shit.
the highest point of Nitro was when
You see
Hulk
all the
Hogan
flooding
joined
and
the
shit? You see all the fucking... You see all the nasty shit that's down there? You think it's worth $3? You know what I can do with $3? I can buy the free fries with a drink and a McChicken with $3. And with the outsiders, the new blood,
the foundation, we will rule the wrestling world.
What about the children?
Fuck them, imagine fuck them kids.
Disgusted with you, Hulk Hogan.
I don't give a damn about these.
The prayers and the vitamins, brother. And like I said, these people out here, after I led their children down the right path, had the goal to boo Hulk Hogan one more time. You fans can stick it, brother.
It was the first time that fans saw Hulk Hogan in a different light. It was a great moment for WCW.
When I thought about the NWO, I didn't think about a wrestling storyline. I wanted to create a WCW, and I wanted to create an NWO, and I wanted there to be a conflict between those two organizations. I thought, okay, if I want NWO to have its own personality, it's got to be different, completely different than what the fans recognize WCW as being. And it would attract people's attention. So it worked very effectively.
I remember when
the Giant. What?
I remember when they released like these 5 bus routes to be free. One in each borough. And it was like one that's nearby the apartment that we used to live at.
Yeah.
And this shit was crowded. Oh my God, that shit was fucking crowded. Fucking people in their carts and shit. I was like, what the fuck?
Great technical wrestler, great
what the fuck are we doing
Kevin
here?
Nash, 7-foot badass. It had the legitimacy of being a group of guys that didn't have to follow the rules, that fuck the system.
Bro, I used to really pay my fucking... I'd cry. I would like cry every time when I dropped $32 for my... Well, now I'll pay that no problem because I paid like $200 for my Ubers.
Yeah.
But back then it was like $32 for like a week of MetroCard. And then when I knew I couldn't do it, I was like, well, the week of hopping.
Oh no.
There were enough
I'd save so much money, bro, just not doing it, just not paying for that shit. Until I finally got caught, and I'm like, damn
I know
it.
the rest of that stuff's all scripted, but that wasn't supposed to happen.
These fuck-ass pigs. I was giving them such an attitude.
A good example of that.
Their body cam caught my fuck-ass attitude.
Had never been done before.
I was in the body cam.
Yo, I didn't see that body cam on my face, bro. Holy shit, I was pissed, bro. Holy shit. And then I saw like 3 freaking guys hop neck, like right. This Indian guy was looking at me, and the one guy that was kicking me up, he was. So like one guy is watching me. He's not doing anything. He's just watching me. As I look at him, I look at the Indian guy, right, the Indian cop, and I'm like, yo. Aren't you gonna do your job? Yo, you caught me going over the... I just saw 3 dudes hop over that shit. You're gonna stand here stare at me like you wanna fuck me? I'm like... I said, go do your job. I'm pointing at the turnstiles. I'm like, look, those 3 dudes is like... You guys are fantasizing over me. I'm like, fuck out of here, bro. I'm like... And then... Oh my god, that Indian cop pissed me off, bro.
Always them dot heads.
I'm like, yo, you fuckhead. I'm like, that's what I told him, you fuckhead.
I would have said,
I'm like, go look at the turnstiles, bro. I'm like, aren't you gonna do your job? Are you just gonna stand there, keep looking at me? 3 dudes just walk past by you guys, just hopping over that shit. Fucking loser ass shit. Hiding behind the pillars like fucking Nam.
Working for. I mean, my God.
All right, I'm gonna be back.
Okay.
This guy here
was
be safe,
bro.
You should take my switchblade.
He works for the NWO.
I'll be right back.
The whole NWO platform was to basically create anarchy. And what better way to create anarchy than have the guy that's basically running the company and controlling everybody's lives be the biggest ass he could possibly be, you know, with one of the largest, you know, heel groups.
I've won the World Series.
And I thought, you know, the positives far outweigh the negatives, so I went ahead and did it.
On June 10th, 1996, Raw beat Nitro in the ratings. They wouldn't win again for nearly 2 years.
My philosophy of business is help yourself, not hurt the other guy. And I dare say, again, not speaking for Ted, but I believe he has a different philosophy. I think his philosophy is, you know, win any way you possibly can. If you can hurt your guy, great. Now you've hurt him, that's good, you know. But we didn't pay much close attention at all to what they were doing. We were more interested in what we were doing because there are only so many hours in the day to begin with.
I can never remember worrying about ratings. I mean, we had TV shows for years and years and years before Raw ever started. I can never, ever remember somebody mentioning what the ratings did.
WCW were very, very much into reacting to anything that the WWE would do on their television program, including the breaks. They wanted to beat them to break. So the quarter hours, which ratings are predicated on, would always be in our favor.
Well, one of the things that TNT did is they did a significant amount of really good research. They came back with a couple of really interesting observations that they got from focus groups that they had done. One is that one of the things that wrestling fans liked the most was unpredictability, which is one of the reasons going back to why I knew we had to be live. Because you can't create that feeling that anything can happen at any moment in a taped environment. The other thing that they liked was watching when characters end up in a confrontation, but it felt spontaneous.
Ex-WWE talent Sean Waltman and Ted DiBiase both joined WCW in the fall of 1996. DiBiase's departure from WWE created an opportunity for one of its performers.
As we went along, we embellished and enhanced the Undertaker's character during this time of the swelled audience. Triple H got on the map during that period of time. The Rock became a household name during that period of time. And we were making new stars as we went along. And that's what WCW never did.
Oh my God, bro.
They never allowed the younger guys to get their break. One guy got a break in that entire lucrative run of WCW, Goldberg.
Bill Goldberg is a perfect example of sometimes how something just works. WCW was at its apex in terms of a company, and that's when Bill Goldberg walked into the picture. Boom, put him on a live Nitro, and the crowd told us what to do with Bill Goldberg. Bill would come out, he'd breathe fire, he'd snort, he'd spit, he'd step into the ring, he'd hit you again, he'd spear you, he'd jackhammer you, and he'd be in a locker room 7 minutes later, and the crowd was going nuts. Okay, that works. Bam, let's do that.
Victor Zarate.
It was like 175 or something, and he'd never been defeated. So we put Bill Goldberg in the ring with Hulk Hogan in front of 45,000, 43,000 fans in Atlanta.
He's ready! He's boys! Okay, that's part one. Now finish him off! Finish him off! He's calling for it! This is it! This is it! Your career's on the line here! Do it! Do it! This Paisley rep when he picks him up. He's got him up!
Bill Goldberg defeated Hulk Hogan, and that was it. He was a made man after that.
When Goldberg beat Hogan for the title in the Georgia Dome, 40,000 people all standing on their feet, cheering and going crazy when the torch was passed. It was a moment that I won't forget. It was the peak of WCW.
After losing for 11 weeks straight, Nitro beat Raw in the ratings, and they had to face an issue. The NWO had grown from a trio of rebellious outsiders to a huge group that threatened to swallow WCW whole.
It got to be a problem with the locker room, because a lot of the guys didn't want to keep getting beat up by the NWO. So when you get your ass kicked, what do? You join the NWO. So the next time I turned around, 4 limos pull up, and 30 guys pop out that are part of the NWO.
It got boring, man. It got boring seeing the NWO. It's the same day in and day out. You didn't know what month it was.
WWE continued to win the ratings war week after week. But in September of 1998, Nitro was victorious with a show that featured Ric Flair's return with the legendary group, the Four Horsemen.
Through the year 2000, we're going to do exactly what all of you across this nation have asked. Arn Anderson, bring back the Horsemen. Careful what you wish for, because now you have it. What a goof! What a goof! You know, I get accused of getting racked in the head a few times and having a little touch of Alzheimer's. My God! I almost forgot the Fourth Horseman! Ric Flair! Girl down here! Here we go!
just embarrassed by the response. But when I see this, I know that the 25 years that I spent trying to make you happy every night of your life was worth every damn minute of it. Now, somebody told me that the Horsemen were having a party tonight in Greenville. Could that be true? That the most elite group that Eric Bischoff said was dead is alive and well.
Oh, my experience as one of the Four Horsemen was tremendous. All of a sudden, here I am. You can't buy that experience. You've got to live it, and I was one of the few to have lived it.
Well, 1998, when I came back to work after being sued by WCW, the impact on me personally was great. The momentary impact on the other Four Horsemen was great. However, we were disbanded and beaten within several weeks. Of course, the angle with myself and Bischoff carried on, but the Four Horsemen was putting us up in very low and beaten within the next 2 weeks. And as soon as he got through with me and my angle, I was back down, doing nothing.
I was really creating two cultures. Ric Flair represented one culture, tradition, history, the NWA, you know, the legacy of really what WCW was. That's what Ric Flair represented. The NWO and some of the newer things that I was doing, including bringing in the luchadors and a lot of the Japanese wrestlers that I was bringing in, and you know, a lot of the crazy stuff that I was doing, represented counterculture to that hardcore WCW fan. So Rick was there to maintain our loyal WCW fan base, while I was trying to expand it with guys like Kevin Nash and Scott Hall and all the other crazy stuff that I was doing.
Here's Ric Flair, who's the last remnant of the NWA, the National Wrestling Alliance, who had single-handedly carried Jim Crockett Promotions on his back and who had single-handedly just about kept WCW in business. With Bischoff and Flair, obviously there was a natural dislike of each other.
You suck! You, I hate your guts! I hate your guts! So, your history! You are a liar! You're a cheat! You're a scam! You are a no-good son of a bitch!
Bischoff tried to move Flair out of the picture, but when the new guys didn't work, they went back to him. Now, all of a sudden, Bischoff is telling all the guys, well, yeah, except for Hogan and Savage and Piper, none of you have ever drawn any money. Which was right that to Ric Flair. Ric Flair was the man, and Ric Flair could draw based on Ric Flair being Ric Flair. He went past being a celebrity and into being somebody they respected. He was a legend.
In Eric Bischoff's eyes, I am nowhere near being a legend. No one would treat anybody of any stature in any endeavor of life or business the way he treated me. If he recognized me for anything I had accomplished or achieved in his business.
He didn't need to get out of the way because he was already out of the way. Flair made a career out of wrestling all the young challengers and making them look better than they could ever make themselves look.
WCW couldn't get back to the top because of their lack of ability to push talent. They didn't want to make any superstars. It was always the same guys on top. The answer was obviously right there. You got all this bunch of talent and you're not doing nothing with them. Why can't you push new stars? Look at what they're doing in WWE. They had Ed, they had Christian, they had the Dudleys, they had Jeff and Matt. You know, what's up with all of us? We can be stars too, you know? We got enough.
Raw continued to dominate Nitro week after week. In late December, Nitro and Raw were to have an extremely competitive Monday on the night Mick Foley won the championship.
Mr. Sacco! Rock tasted Mr. Sacco at rock bottom! Rock, look out! He can taste it again! Mr. Sacco! Mankind is locked in the man of the claw with Mr. Sacco! Mr. McMahon, you gotta do something! The Rock may be out! No! Disqualification! Billy got on Shamrock!
watched our show when it aired. The kids
That means she drove you over there.
dancing around the living room with the belt. I really felt good about it. You know, it was a very emotional moment. Then I watched the WCW show, which they showed later on in delay. And I'm kind of reading the paper, and I did not think they were putting on a very good show. I did not think that they were showcasing Goldberg in the way that he should have been. They were putting him in a situation that made him look silly. I remember thinking it was a poorly executed show. And then I hear Tony Schiavone say, the WWE show, which is a taped show, will have Mankind, who wrestled here as Cactus Jack, winning the world title from The Rock. And then he very sarcastically said, wow, that'll put a lot of butts in seats.
We understand that Mick Foley, who wrestled here one time as Cactus Jack, is going to win their world title. Oh, he's going to put some butts in the seat. Yeah.
That line single-handedly took the special night from me. It made it a lousy night. It really just knotted up my stomach. I remember thinking, oh, how could they take a guy who worked so hard for that company, who had sacrificed his body to such a degree, never been really appreciated? How could he go and take my moment away from me? I waited for the ratings to come in. And they showed something very surprising. They showed that almost to the moment that Tony Schiavone said, wow, that'll put a lot of butts in seats, that WCW had been winning the show. And the moment he said that stupid comment, something like 300,000 homes, which maybe meant 500,000 people, turned immediately. WCW had a main event that people wanted to see, because once I won the title, people switched back to their show. There were still 5 minutes left in hours. It was like, okay, we saw the title change. Let's see what WCW has. Which showed me that they had something people wanted to watch, and had they not opened up their mouths and not chosen to take the low road, which, by the way, was directed to Schiavone from Eric Bischoff. In all fairness to Schiavone, it was Bischoff who took the low road. If they had not taken that road, they probably would have won the night, and I think it may have shifted the momentum to their side. And instead, that night turned out to be a huge victory, not just for me, which it certainly was, but for the entire company.
It became crystallized once the WWE really started kicking our ass. My biggest obstacle was me and my ability to deal with the people above me. Because quite frankly, I was impossible to deal with.
I believe it was a whole corporate structure of WCW that prevented them from, rebounding. You'd ask a question and you would get told to go to 3 different people, and you would get 3 different answers from them 3 different people. So you'd be left with, what do I do? Where do I go?
Nobody knew what was going on every day. A guy like Sting, top guy, he wouldn't know what was going on when he got there. They could change 5 times, because this guy up here ahead of him could change this guy over here could change that.
I confronted Eric on a number of occasions. What the hell are we doing tonight? He says, leave me alone. I don't know yet. And I says, my God, we're 10 minutes before showtime here. You better figure it out pretty quick, because we've got a show that starts at 8 o'clock, and we don't even have a run sheet yet. The single biggest mistake was letting the talent call their own shots. Eric Bischoff would let them write in the contract that they have complete creative control over their television character. That can't happen.
I'd seen how that place operated. From all the red tape, believe me, the rats were already off the ship. It was just enough for the smartest guy to get out first, and that's why I got out, because I knew that boat was going to fly apart.
WCW had a number of talents that we certainly wanted, and Big Show being one of them. He's very, very unique, largest athlete in the world.
It was a good coup for the WWE to snag me, because it started shifting the momentum of time. Not because I'm such a great talent or a great wrestler. WCW had stolen so many of Vince's stars. But Vince now was stealing younger stars. They stole some of the older talent that had already been established, that already kind of had their run in WWE, and they were getting a fresh run in WCW. I really hadn't established a run yet. So being a young talent, moving to WWE with Rock coming out, and the fuse between Rock and Stone Cold were just, they were so incredible to watch that even as an entertainer myself, I thought, you know what, those 2 guys are the best there is right now to entertain.
Oh, and what is going on here?
having a tantrum.
Jericho, he slipped. The guy's gone nuts. He is absolutely snapped. You've had enough. Man, Sting and Hogan's still to come live here tonight on Nitro.
I had a disagreement with Eric Bischoff, which led to about 6 to 8 months of just basically not having anything good to do. I made up my mind that I wanted to come to the WWE a year before my contract was up in WCW, and so it was a long year.
How dare you, little jabroni, come on the Rock Show and not even have the class to introduce yourself? What is your name?
I told you.
It doesn't matter what your name is.
He got you. Oh boy.
The Rock says you talk about your Y2J plan. Well, The Rock has a little plan of his own, and it's called the KY Jelly Plan.
Oh no.
Which
You know what that is, JR? Yeah. You do? You don't use it to clean pipes, JR.
Which means The Rock is gonna lube his size 13 boot real good, turn that some sideways, and stick it straight up. You can't do that. If you smell what The Rock is cooking.
Well, The Rock gets the last word over Chris Jericho.
The WCW as a company had no organization at all. It was like being in the Wizard of Oz, and it was all black and white. And as soon as I opened the WWE door, it was color. Wow, this is the way it should be. I can't imagine what it must have been like for the guys who came from the WWE to the WCW, because it was totally out of whack.
Revisionist thinking is that Eric Bischoff had completely, pissed away everybody's money. BS. I was making money hand over fist. I took a $24 million a year company that was losing $10 million a year, and 4 years later it was a $350 million a year company that was making $50 million a year. But I made a calculated decision when I felt as though I was losing control of WCW that I was going to fight. I was going to challenge the executives above me. I would call them on their decisions. I'd publicly humiliate them if I had to in order to prove my point, because I thought, mistakenly, that I always had Ted Turner to fall back on.
Ratings began to drop. Many at the company were unhappy. Finally, at WCW, a change was made.
I got a call from Harvey Schiller, who was then president of TBS Sports. I had a good relationship with Harvey, still do to this day. But Harvey called me in and he said, Eric, I just got out of a meeting. People above him, you need to go home. This was on a Friday morning. It was September 10th, 1999. He said, you need to go home and take a long rest. I said, well, when do I come back to work? He says, you're not coming back to work. You need to go home. So I went home, had a cup of coffee, jumped into my plane, flew out to Cody, Wyoming, where I keep a house, and I went fly fishing for about a month and a half.
I am the World Wrestling Federation Champion!
With Triple H as champion, Raw continued to dominate the ratings. Some thought that an upcoming IPO of WWE stock and the introduction of SmackDown on UPN would distract WWE from the Monday Night Wars. WCW tried to capitalize with a bold move.
We had to get the product turned around. A gentleman by the name of J.J. Dillon had this contact.
Vince Russo and Ed Ferrara attempted to change the course of the wars and bring WCW and Nitro back on top.
That's exactly what we need. We need some of that success brought over here.
Some of their efforts came under criticism.
outside and I saw it, they made a lot of fun of me. And I had a lot of reasons to have axes to grind. But I chose a long time ago. I've been in this business over 30 years. Not to live my life that way.
Slowly but surely, as I spent time with him and did business with him, I realized that, you know, what he brought to the table, or what he supposedly said he could bring to the table, is not exactly what he brought to the table.
Vince and Ed did not have a Vince McMahon to control all of these creative juices and keep their eye on the ball and stay focused.
Vince Russo, a clown, a writer, a guy that dared to walk in the doors of WCW and try to convince people like me that he was the brains behind the action here, that he made the WWE what it was with Steve Austin and The Rock and Triple H and Shawn Michaels. You think a guy like that could blow in the door and try to sell me? I just turned my back and laughed at it.
New talent at WWE was making an impact. Edge, Christian, the Hardy Boys. As Raw continued to dominate the ratings, WWE took a serious look at the WCW talent pool.
That was important for us because it was an influx, you know, of talent, much as they had used that to perpetuate their ratings, you know, when they were buying off our talent.
So Eric Bischoff, I'm telling you this right now. I want out of my contract, no matter what it takes, who I gotta speak to, or what it is, okay? And here, let me save you some time, Eric Bischoff. I'm throwing coffee on myself. As far as I'm concerned, you can take this job and shove it up your you-know-what.
You know, I had been trying to get out of WCW for a while. I had asked for my release for like a year before this happened. You know, I got coffee thrown at me by Eric Bischoff. You know, all I wanted to do in my life was wrestle. And I didn't want to wrestle anymore. I hated it. I didn't hate wrestling. I hated the atmosphere around it. You know, I hated everything else but what happened in the ring.
There's a group of us that are sick and tired of the politics that take place back there. We're sick and tired of the cliques that take place back there that monopolize the top spots in this business.
I was just so fed up and burnt out, and I hated coming to work. And when you hate doing something that you're passionate about, that you've always wanted to do your whole life, something is very, very wrong. And I knew that I needed change.
We may have not been stars at that time. Chris Benoit was. He had the belt and all that. He was getting that push. But, you know, we definitely were the workhorses of WCW. Chris Benoit, Dean Malenko, Eddie Guerrero, Barry Saturn, and others like Rey Mysterio. We were the backbone of that company. You know, when they lost us, they lost the backbone.
Exodus from WCW of the guys who knew they weren't going to get ahead of the veterans, Chris Jericho and Dean Malenko and Chris Benoit. When you got talent like that coming into a company, it's experienced, but it's fresh. It's new, but at the same time, it's familiar. They've got fresh matchups against guys they've never wrestled before. That was tremendously exciting for the wrestling fans.
From day one that I've been in WCW, I've done nothing but deal with the bullshit of the politics behind that curtain. The fact of the matter is, I've got a wife, I've got 3 kids at home, and I really don't need this shit.
You know, after Russo and Ferrara were showing the door, Bill Bush was showing the door, Brad Siegel came in. He said, oh my God, I got to bring Eric Bischoff back. He's the only guy that could do anything with this company. Well, the horse was already out of the barn.
By that time, they figured out, you know, Vince Russo was not what he proclaimed to be. Brad said, okay, what would it take for you to come back? I just said, Brad, here's the deal. I can't fix WCW. Why don't you let me buy it? He said, okay, make us an offer. So I put together a deal, put in an offer, made an announcement in all the trades, and I was on the beach when my cell phone rang.
At the
dawn of the 1980s, Magnum TA burst onto the wrestling scene. With his athleticism, charisma, and movie star good looks, he quickly became a top star for Jim Crockett Promotions and a valuable
Page, because this is the love that Chris and Nancy
Chris Benoit.
always had.
Chris was always very much a great father, very much about his family.
He was my hero, you know? I looked up to him.
I have never, ever seen a closer friendship as I did between Chris and Eddie.
Eddie Guerrero has passed away.
My next thought was, oh my God, Chris.
I love you, Eddie. He didn't handle it well. Let me just say it like that.
Nancy started getting really worried. She's like, I'm really worried for Chris. I just had this really bad feeling.
We have more for you now on a developing story in Fayette County, the deaths of a pro wrestler and his family.
In the immediate wake of Chris Benoit's death, the world is desperately searching for answers. What comes to light goes beyond anything anyone could imagine.
People just couldn't believe it. Couldn't fathom that something like that could happen.
It can't be real. Like, where's my nephew?
That can't have happened because the person that I knew would not do this horrific thing.
But I think this is going to be gigantic. This will affect WWE.
Well, the question is, was he on steroids at this time?
Did the blows to the head Benoit received in the wrestling ring fundamentally change his brain?
It really, really was the darkest time of my life.
Fayette County, Georgia. It's a laid-back community. It's more of a family atmosphere. Not a whole lot of crime. It's pretty peaceful.
Lee Yang.
My name is Larry Alden. I was with Fayette County Sheriff's Office. I was lieutenant in charge of the shift that was working the day of the Benoit incident. I had been a detective for about 15 or 20 years.
Oh my goodness. Brother, you okay? Hi, Miki. Oh, you never know. Thanks again, bro. Oh my gosh. Nah, fuck that shit. Dark side of the ring.
He didn't handle it well. Let me just say it like that.
Nancy started getting really worried. She's like, I'm really worried for Chris.
The charges.
I just had this really bad feeling.
We have more for you now on a developing story in Fayette County, the deaths of a pro wrestler and his family.
In the immediate wake of Chris Benoit's death, the world is desperately searching for answers. What comes to light goes beyond anything anyone could imagine.
Why?
People just couldn't believe it. Couldn't fathom that something like that could happen.
It can't be real. Where's my nephew?
That can't happen because the person that I knew would not do this horrific thing.
But I think this is going to be gigantic. This will affect WWE.
Well, the question is, was he on steroids at this time?
Did the blows to the head Benoit received in the wrestling ring fundamentally change his brain?
It really, really was the darkest time of my life.
Fayette County, Georgia, it's a laid-back community. It's more of a family atmosphere. Not a whole lot of crime. It's pretty peaceful. My name is Larry Alden. I was with Fayette County Sheriff's Office. I was lieutenant in charge of the shift that was working the day of the Benoit incident. I had been a detective for about 15 or 20 years. I'd probably see Chris Benoit once or twice a week at the gym, which was right in the middle of Fayetteville. He didn't talk a lot, and he was pretty focused on getting his workout in. I never heard anything about him. I didn't even know where he lived at until the call came out on the radio that day.
My name is Dennis Fig, and I run the security for World Wrestling, and one of our wrestlers that lives down there is missing.
And what's his name?
Chris Benoit.
Okay, and he's a wrestler?
Yes, what happened, he's a very religious gentleman, and yesterday he was supposed to show up at a pay-per-view and never got on the plane, never showed up. It's out of character for him.
All right, we'll go ahead and send somebody out there to check on him. If you want to call us back in like 45 minutes or so. If he's there, we'll tell him to give you a call.
I was in my patrol car just riding around the county, and it was pretty close to the area when the call went out. I wasn't thinking of anything other than welfare check, or maybe he was sick, maybe drunk. Didn't really know why. I pulled up on scene about time the neighbor was walking over, and I walked up to them, and I asked if she had seen Mr. Benoit or anybody. She said, it's been 3 or 4 days since I've seen anybody. over there. There was 2 large canines in the yard. If I remember correctly, they were German Shepherds. We asked her if there was any place she could put the dogs at so we could go up there and do the welfare check. And she said, oh yeah, me and the dogs get along great. I feed them whenever they're out of town. And she jumped the fence, dogs right there with her. She walked them in there, never had to take a hold to them. It was taking a little longer than I thought it should take. But then she came running out the door, screaming that Daniel's dead, Daniel's dead. I went from just being a regular welfare check, okay, we got something more serious here. We crossed the fence at that time, myself and Deputy Mundy, and we made entry through the side door which she had left open. We drew our weapons, not knowing what we was going to come upon. It was daylight, and they had plenty of windows in the house, so you had a lot of light coming in. There was an odor in the house. And I looked over at Deputy Mundy and said, something is dead in here. There was a set of stairs going up to a bedroom. So we went up those steps, and sure enough, that's where the juvenile child was at, laying in bed. I noticed the child was laying on the bed face down. Deputy Mundy said, do we need to start CPR? And I said, no, he'd passed away. We started clearing all the different rooms and doors. We found another room, and that's where we found Miss Benoit at. She was laying on the floor, and she was wrapped up in a blanket or maybe a rug or something like that. Went downstairs to the basement area, which was a couple of large open rooms. And the last door we opened was the gym door. And that's where Mr. Benoit was at. Because of the mirrors and at the angle Deputy Mundy was at to my right, she saw the reflection.
Dante Martin is crazy.
He might have been 5 to 7, 10 feet away from where he actually was. And she started to say, show me your hands, Fayette County Sheriff's Department. She could not see. He had cable from one of his weight machines around his neck and had some weights on it. That's when I told her, I said, he's sitting right here, he's passed away. Radio had called us, asked if everything was okay, and I told her on the radio that looked like it might be a homicide and suicide. It was within 2 or 3 minutes of us walking back outside that somebody had already strung crime scene tape across the front of the property.
I was at the gym, and I remember I was driving home. My son was with me, and I got a call from one of the writers from WWE. He called me and said, were you sitting down? I'm like, what's going on here, dude? And that's when he said, Chris is dead. I said, what? Chris who? This is Chris Benoit. And I pulled over on the side of the road and just started bawling. And I remember my son said, Daddy, you cry funny. I was just crying, just bawling.
At this time, no one knew what happened to WWE.
They get
just
swept.
thinking that Chris Benoit has passed away. Along with
Expose, oh no.
You're not trying to put together that, okay, did someone break in? Did carbon monoxide happen? What's going on? You just know that these two of your friends are gone, and no one has answers.
Vince McMahon, the chairman of the board, couldn't go on the air and not do anything. So we went on the air and did what we thought was right.
Tonight, this arena here in Corpus Christi, Texas, was to have been filled to capacity with enthusiastic WWE fans.
We tried to honor the guy, we tried to honor his family, tried to honor his fans, but we didn't have a full story. Shame on us for that, I guess.
So tonight will be a 3-hour tribute to one of the greatest WWE superstars of all time.
We just know that Chris Benoit is no longer with us, and neither is his family. Of course, I'm going to pay tribute to my friend.
And I would trust you with me, with my life, with my kids' lives. Because I know you, Chris. I know your heart. Yeah, they called me and asked me if I wanted be on it. And I was like, absolutely not. I remember just sitting there, like, just watching, like, dead, a bottle of vodka, just drinking. Eddie's was bad. This was worse.
Chris Benoit was not only one of the greatest wrestlers I ever saw, but he was one of the best friends I ever had in this business. We did not know all the information. That's our fault.
Oh my
we were
God,
trying
the
to
pilots
serve the
are...
audience.
Wow,
it was a major
amazing.
story. It was hitting all the news sources, and we had a TV show. We wanted to update people on what the hell was going on. But we didn't have all the information. But we didn't know we didn't have all the information. We were told from the authorities, here's what happened. Oh, guess what? We were wrong. This is not what happened. Chris was the type of guy you'd want to go to war with.
It was hard because at that time, some guys were, their speeches, praising Chris.
Because Chris Benoit was my hero.
I love you, Chris.
It's interesting to me because when I watched the Raw tribute and everybody was talking about Benoit and how great a performer he was and how amazing he was, I thought Regal's words on that night were very revealing.
Now all I'm willing to say is that Chris Benoit was undoubtedly the hardest working man in professional wrestling.
And when you talk to him afterwards, you find out he lived in the same city as Chris and knew a lot about whatever fights Nancy and him had or whatever Chris was going through at the time. And I'm not sure if a lot of people would have noticed it, but knowing what I knew about him, I started thinking, wow, this is not good.
Like, rematch. Oh my
sister
God.
had told me to spoil myself and go to the mall and get some makeup and have some wine with lunch and go watch a movie. And I came out of the theater and I turned my phone on and I had like 22 missed calls from my parents.
Crazy.
And my parents made sure they wouldn't tell me anything. They wanted me to be parked in my driveway and inside my house before they told me. And that's how I found out.
Unreal.
And then when it finally sunk in, I just absolutely lost control of myself. It was very difficult. Very difficult. I had to go to the hospital and be sedated.
I was in Edmonton, and then this number kept calling. My mom's cell phone, unknown number, unknown number, unknown number. And then she finally answered it, and it was the police, RCMP. So we left, we rolled down to the station. She found out first. I see her crying there. She couldn't spit it out. So.
Damn. Again? Rematch? That ass? Wait, that ass? What?
The cop told me they all passed away over the weekend. I punched them in the chest. And then me and the cop went for a walk. We talked. That, your dad loved you. They all loved you. I thought it was a joke. I really did.
It wasn't until after the show and after the fact that all the details started coming in.
We have more for you now on a developing story in Fayette County, the deaths of a pro wrestler and his family. Fayetteville authorities say the bodies of Chris Benoit and his family were found this afternoon in their home.
Right now it's being investigated as a murder-suicide. However, until we get the crime lab reports, it's undetermined exactly what happened.
That's when all of this, all of these details start coming out about it's not just him that's dead, it's Nancy and Daniel's dead as well. And then that's when it just started getting out of control.
The father killed his wife and son and then committed suicide. That's what's happened here. You didn't want to believe it. Can't believe it. Can't be true. But it was.
The evidence indicates that it was a particularly brutal and vicious murder. It was something that showed some sign of real rage. I'm Matthew Randazzo V, and I'm the author of Ring of Hell, the story of Chris Benoit and the fall of the pro wrestling industry. The weekend of the murders, on Friday, Chris Benoit had a barbecue out by the pool with Daniel. And then that Friday evening, it appears that there was some sort of altercation between Chris and Nancy.
I want nightmares
That
tonight.
Chris restrained Nancy with duct tape and
Nice.
then
I'm
utilized
so
a
sorry.
telephone cord to strangle her and then placed a Bible next to her body. There were a number of beer cans and wine bottles around that indicate Chris may have been drinking. Next morning, on Saturday, Chris, we assume, gave his son Daniel Xanax and then murdered him in his room, being suffocated by his father.
It
A
sounds
Bible was then
scarier
placed
and more
next to
horrific
Daniel as
the
well.
louder it is.
After that, Chris made a phone call and let friends know that Daniel and Nancy were both suffering from a bad stomach virus and that he had to take them to the hospital. That night, Chris went to bed with the bodies of his wife and child in the house. On Sunday, Benoit makes a couple searches on the internet that are chilling in retrospect. One for a story in the Bible about the prophet Elijah and the resurrection of a dead boy in the Old Testament. And then a search about the quickest and most painless way of breaking one's own neck. Chris then went down to his home gym with a half-drunken bottle of wine. He went to his lat pull-down machine. He took the bar off. He wrapped a towel around his neck, and he took the metal cord from the lat pull-down machine and put it around his neck. He adjusted the weights to 240 pounds, and then he released it. So it's a very bizarre scenario. It's a very bizarre weekend, and it doesn't leave a lot of answers.
He was just a guy, you know, like my friend. Nobody expects their friend to kill their family. Like, what?
When I found out what had really happened, the shock is just, you can't even believe it. He had put his knee in her back and essentially broke her back. I couldn't fathom how cruel and how much pain she must have gone through and how horrific that must have been for her. It was just unfathomable.
If Chris did give Daniel that, you know, medication or prescription pills and suffocate him, you know, like, shame on him. Daniel was innocent in all this.
We were hearing other things come out about the circumstances of him putting the Bibles by their sides and having a knife that he had planted underneath Daniel's bed or something like that.
Still couldn't wrap my head around it. It just sounded so like some bad horror movie.
And now I'm a part of humanizing a murderer. Strange.
I mean, to think that Nancy was dead for 2 days before Chris took his life. How was that even logical for this man who loved her so much?
Later, it turned out that there was a Bible in the house, similar to the ones left by Nancy and Daniel's body, that Chris had left something akin to a suicide note. Something along the lines of, I'm preparing to leave this earth.
Bar.
So Chris did leave a suicide note. He did know what he was doing. He was at least enough in his right mind to understand exactly what was happening, and was still considering whether he would go make a flight to go wrestle that night on international television.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
We came up on air with Vince talking and kind of letting everybody know what happened.
Last night on Monday Night Raw, the WWE presented a special tribute show, recognizing the career of Chris Benoit. However, now some 26 hours later, the facts of this horrific tragedy are now apparent. Therefore, other than my comments, there will be no mention of Mr. Benoit's name tonight.
It was understood that we were not to speak of Chris, speak of Benoit, speak of anyone of that incident. And by that next week, Chris's name was erased from everything that was involved with WWE. I mean, when we did interviews, we were not to mention Chris Benoit. So that's something that was really hard for us to do, but because we all wanted our jobs, it was understood.
I know WWE is kind of like erased his history of being in the business, and I can understand and totally agree with what they did. We're not going to praise the guy who murdered his wife or his son. I don't give him any accolades for that.
I went to the funeral with Nancy and Daniel. I can't even believe how sad it was. I was the WWE representative there, just me, with the shits. We go to a funeral and people crying and a kid being buried and a woman being married for no reason. No reason to die.
The WWE sent JR, and I lost my cool with him and told him to his face that he wasn't welcome at the wake afterward. It was all a work, just fake, garbage, nonsense. I can see a work coming a mile away, and that's what I saw, and I knew that that was the truth.
I felt like I was the most unwanted person in the building because I was a WWE guy. And I probably loved him as much as anybody there.
Everybody was just a mess. It's shitty, and it's sad, and it's unfair because there's two people that could still be with us today. And if Chris wanted to take his life, then so be it. But to take all of them, I didn't go to Chris's funeral. I was angry. At that point, I was pretty angry at Chris, for what he did.
His funeral was very private. We didn't tell anyone about it. That's when it all hit me right there, all at once. I was crying my eyes out.
No.
Who in the wrestling business provided care for you and your family in the aftermath of this?
Is that a serious question? Not a single person. No one.
And did anyone from the WWE ever reach out to you and your family?
Chris Jericho and Chavo Guerrero. That's it. Nobody else. Screw them. They weren't there for me. They backed off like I didn't even exist. It was so hard after the funeral because the media was just non-stop, 24/7.
Tonight, we are talking about the strange and very sad case of Chris Benoit.
I didn't even watch news anymore. I didn't watch TV for months. I couldn't even watch wrestling anymore.
We're also told by the police here that there were instruments of death found, not instruments of murder. There's going to be an autopsy report, but there's an awful lot of confusion about how this happened.
It really, really was the darkest time of my life.
Benoit had an intense on-stage persona. He was nicknamed the Rabid Wolverine, the Canadian Crippler. The couple actually met when her former husband drew up a script that put the two of them in a relationship.
It made everything extremely difficult. It made everything under a magnifying glass because CNN and Fox and all the news channels were at the gates. A double murder suicide with a 7-year-old kid is news, but I think that there's a point where you really just need to let the family grieve. All I really wanted to do was to be with my niece and nephew.
The mainstream media's reaction was typical because, A, they love a tragedy, and it gives them another reason to take a shot at wrestling. It was a field day for them.
Professional wrestlers are 20 times more likely to die before age 45 than professional football players.
I think a lot of mainstream media looks down on wrestling as it is, and that suddenly was public enemy number one.
Chris Benoit's diary is revealing new information about his state of mind. The wrestler wrote a series of letters to his best friend. At one point, Benoit wrote, "I'll be with you soon."
Mike Benoit believes it's the diary of his son going mad.
We just didn't understand this was going on at that time in Chris's life.
I got a call from Chris's dad, Mike Benoit. He knew my relationship with Chris. The first thing he asked me was why, which from a father's standpoint I can understand how upset he was. Unfortunately, and I felt bad, I didn't have any answers for him.
People need to understand that that was not him. Not the person we knew. person I loved with all my heart, my hero.